Hello all, this is Cram, of course, coach of the St. Louis Battlehawluchas, and this is actually round 1 of playoffs. So it's kind of surprising not even here in the first place, because as I alluded to last week, I didn't think that I'd even make playoffs, but it turns out that all the top 10 teams make it, and I ended up being 10th. The downside of that, of course, is we have to rematch Rewt, as you can see right here. Something you'll note is that this is actually his side of the match, so this is actually a post-commentary. Unfortunately, my recording software did not work at the time of playing this match. It shut out on me, so I asked Rewt to kindly provide me with his side of the battle so that we can at least provide something of an upload to show what happened for this battle. Going into this matchup, because I didn't realize I'd even make it in the first place, I was not expecting to play a Rewt again, so a lot of my prep from the first time I felt was my best prep, so a lot of this is just sort of like a lot of the same stuff, but I tried to change it just enough to where it could not be counter team, because we traded sets at the end of our match on week 9, thinking that we would never play again, so we know each other's best cards, essentially. So going into this matchup, I was like, alright, it makes sense to maybe bring my best Pokemon again. So last time he didn't show that he was willing to bring a fairy move to hit Roaring Moon. So now I have Roaring Moon as the check to the Armarouge instead of the Arcanine. And now Arcanine is built to check the Meowscarada. So I do have a designated lead for this time. This time I'm leading with the Arcanine. The Arcanine is Eject Pack, so essentially my goal was to click Overheat on the Cloyster bring, which he didn't actually even bring to this matchup, but if he were to set up a Shell Smash on me turn 1, I could get the Overheat, bring it into priority range, and then go into Espeon or Primeape or something like that. But not only does he not have it, but he leads with the Mismagius. So thinking here is like, I can just get some free damage with Overheat and pivot out into something. If he goes into the Armarouge, I can just spam E-Speed, since he kind of knows I was built to check it last time, so he may not feel like he wants to go to it in this position, so I felt okay going for the Overheat in this position. I don't really need the Eject Pack for much else, since he didn't bring the Cloyster. If I remember right here, yeah, he goes for Substitute. Which is cool, because now we notice that he's also faster, because last time he brought a slow variant that didn't really have any speed on it, and it got outsped by the Primeape. So this time he's going for a fast sub, and I get to break that sub immediately with a Substitute, or with an Overheat, and I get to pivot out into whatever I want here. Now I didn't have a lot for Mismagius last time, so I did make sure to at least tech on something that could help me deal with this. So I ended up dropping Giga Drain for knockoff on Toadscroll. All else is pretty much the same. Even my set from last time with the same spread can beat sub Mismagius, even if it's as defensive as it was last time with Will-O-Wisp. So just teching on knockoff was really the answer here. So I went into Toadscroll here. I figured like he might not have much to touch me anyway, so unless he has like taunt, I can also get up a T-Spike here while still 1v1ing him. And getting up a T-Spike is really good versus his team, since he didn't have a lot of boots last time and he doesn't have a poison type on this build. So I decided to go for the T-Spikes here, as he actually goes for another sub. So in my opinion, this benefits me a lot, because he can't do anything really to remove these very easily, and I can still beat this set. We'll have to see what he goes for here. I think he either goes for the Will-O-Wisp or the Calm Mind. I think he goes for Calm Mind first, expecting me to not have anything to break his sub very easily. Because after a Calm Mind, like Giga Drain, that wouldn't break the sub anyway. Sludge Bomb, which is one of my moves, doesn't break the sub. Earth Power obviously can't hit Mismagius, so he goes for the Calm Mind first. And then, so knockoff is good here, because it always breaks the sub. And this is a more offensive variant, so even if he burns me, it'll always break the sub, even after the item's gone, I think. If I remember right. Maybe not after the burn. But he is an offensive variant, so maybe the... Oh, no. I think burned with no item doesn't break the sub, but burned with an item does. I think that's what he's doing right here now, just trying to figure out if Will-O-Wisp is worth it to him. Because he's gonna, if he Will-O-Wisp here, he loses the item. And if he subs again, I just break the sub, so the set effectively will not work for the rest of the game. He can use it for the utility, and that's about it. Let's see here, I should just be going for knockoff. There's no reason to go for the second T-Spike. I feel that one is sufficient for dealing with everything. I guess I could set up both. I didn't feel that it was worth it. Yeah, as you can see, he doesn't have any way of dealing with T-Spikes. He dropped Cloyster, which was one of his spinners. If it even still gets spin, I don't think it gets spin. But I think right now here he's just gonna go for sub, hoping that I can't break his sub. But I go for knockout here, and you're gonna see that still does good damage, but it doesn't break the sub actually. So I just have to stay calm here and continue to break the sub by spamming knockoff. He doesn't have any more healing, and as you can see, his only attack here is actually Dazzling Gleam, so he can't actually touch Toadscroll that hard because this is not stab. So yeah, that was only like a third. I am burned, so I no longer have leftover healing, and I don't have Giga Drain obviously, so any damage he gets on me is just weakening me for everything else in the back, and that's all he can really do. I believe here I think he either just goes for the damage or he does something else. No, there's no reason to do anything else. If he just gets the damage on me, anything can pick me off. I played this like over a week ago at this point, so I'm just kind of reacting on a first take to this match. I have like very vague memory of how everything went down. But I'm in such a commanding position in this game here because I just lost. I just took out his first Pokemon, but I got up hazards, and I guess I kind of traded my item as it's leftovers is not giving me any healing anymore. It's just offsetting the burn. So it's honestly a pretty positive trade for me here. If I remember right, he goes into Lucario next year. It's cool to see that that I get to see his side of the battle, because I didn't get to see everything he went for. We didn't share sets after this, so there were some things I didn't know what he was doing per se. So it's cool to see here he's got like a more standard Lucario set over the one he did last time, which was more of a like a beat the Driftbloom sort of Pokemon, which I didn't even bring to this matchup either. But yeah, I remember here he goes for the Terra Grass. I actually end up going for the Earth Power here because I essentially got what I wanted out of Toadscroll, and I just want to remove as much health as I can for the next Mon to come in and do a lot of damage. Yeah, you can see here I'm actually faster than the Lucario, so he's probably like adamant. I actually get a critical hit too. But it's cool to see that I'm faster. He did cover for the Air Power, which is good for him. The crit helps a lot, actually, because I have Sludge Bomb here, and if he doesn't go for E-Speed, I'm going to go for Sludge Bomb here and get a lot of damage off on him. And I thought for sure, like, he would have E-Speeded, like, the first time. It turns out he doesn't have it, as we can see here, but that's what I thought he was going to do, is I end up just getting a second knockout with Toadscroll, having tried to sack it. Ended up getting 2 kills, which is very nice. It puts me so far ahead in this game. It's always very nice for me. So that crit helped a lot. I'm not sure if... I don't remember if I KO'd without the crit, but having the crit was certainly helpful. I'm trying to think. What do they go into next? Oh, I see he's got a Orisphere, so he actually is prepared for the Roaring Moon this time. But his Terra is still the same, so... My Roaring Moon is actually AV, so I can take Orispheres. It was just a terrible ass fairy I was more worried about, but it looks like he wasn't doing that last time. And he goes into this, and I'm thinking, like, because I'm, like, really far ahead here, I can afford to go into my Meowscarada check here. And by doing that, I can preserve a sack for later in case things get hairy for some reason. So I actually end up switching into the Arcanine to get off an Intimidate. And from there I can just Morning Sun, I can spam Overheat. He changes into something that resists Overheat for some reason. I can always click something else. But he actually ends up getting a crit here, which is really bad because he's Life Orb, so he does more damage than I was expecting from the last match, because last time he was Muscle Band. So now I'm here in a tough spot. I'm thinking, like, can I Morning Sun up on something? And the answer, I think, is yes. I can Morning Sun up on an Armarouge if he wants to be passive and set up. I can Morning Sun on the Wigglytuff because it's really slow. So I decide here that I'm going to preserve the Arcanine. And I just got to decide what is more worth going into in this position, because if I want to preserve that sack, I don't want to go into Toedscroll, but at the same time, we don't know what else he has. He could have U-Turn or Play Rough or Roaring Moon. So I end up just going back into Toedscroll here with the idea that I am actually going to sack it off this time, which is, I guess, very unoptimal, because I ended up just doing the thing that I could have done in the first place and just sack it off. But so that puts me in a slightly awkward spot, but I'm still very much ahead in this game. But we see that he actually has Power Gem, so he had a way of hitting the Arcanine straight up. But here he's committed to just going for the low kick and trying to catch the Arcanine. Get this switch out, but this time we're going to give up to Toedscroll. Toedscroll did amazing for us, nabbing 2 KOs, which is always nice to see. You see that poison damage? Poison plus Life Orb is already like to about a third of its health, and it's only been on the field for, I want to say, 2 or 3 turns. So that's very good for me, because this thing was the last man standing in the last match, and getting rid of his fastest Pokemon is amazing, especially for Roaring Moon, who cannot outspeed Meowscarada unless he's like a creep, like an Adamant variant or something like that. But I believe here I'm debating on whether or not I can even go Arcanine here, because I'm like really low in health. So I was thinking here, like, I do have E-Speed, so it's like it's a roll to KO here. So if I can just pick it off with E-Speed, I can recover up on something else later. So I'm committed to at least playing for the roll, because I know that if he stays in and attacks me here, he will drop to either his Life Orb or the poison damage. So either way, if he stays in, he goes down, basically. And if he switches, I get maybe an opportunity to Morning Sun later, depending on what he goes into. I think he's here. He's debating on whether he gets Hazard. I think he just attacks me or something like that. I guess he's wondering if, like, he can pressure me with Hazard so that he can, get his Mons in the back to pull through. See, he does. I don't remember if he clicks Spike. I don't think he ever showed Spikes. Yeah, he just goes for the Power Gem here. Yeah, he lives on 6, so I didn't quite get it, but that's okay. I'm actually not very invested. I think if I were invested, that would have worked out better for me. I had a lot of Spid Dash, so I was like, oh, if I am in a pickle, I can still check Armarouge effectively, but I ended up just putting it all on Spid Dash and not attack, so maybe I should have considered that so that I would have lost Arcanine there. But given that Arcanine was here to check the Meowscarada, it's done its job, so here I'm thinking, like, what Pokemon can I go into? What I don't want to see, really, is the Armarouge. So I believe I go Roaring Moon here if I remember right. Because if I go, he goes Iron Hands, I can just U-turn into, what do I U-turn into? I U-turn into the Primate to get a Rage Fist boost if he attacks me. Like last time he was just clicking buttons. Here he actually switches out, if I remember right. Yeah, he goes into Iron Hands, and I was thinking, like, there's no reason I should stay in here. My guess is he probably thought that I had Iron Head, or maybe some sort of item to help me deal with Wigglytuff, so... But I didn't want any part of dealing with the Wigglytuff, so I ended up going for a U-turn here. So this is nice, because we're able to get a poison on the switch, and we get a U-turn out, we get a little bit of damage, and I see that he's not Lumberry like he was last time. Last time he was Lumberry for probably, like, Arcanine with Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that. But here I go into this thing, of course, just like last time. The goal is to, like, force him to attack me so that I can get this Rage Fist boost. I have bulk up, of course, so like I can reduce the damage he's doing to me, and if he sets up on me like a Swords Dance, which he does actually have here, I can Encore him into it, so it always works in my favor. The only option he has here is to switch, which just allows me to set up, so... But he ends up going into Armarouge here, which is great because one, it gets this thing poisoned too, and this is like a leftovers variant. So the sooner I poison this, the sooner it'll get worn down. I was debating going for a raw Rage Fist here, since now his Terra's committed and he's weak to Rage Fist, but I didn't feel that it was worth it because this is like it's +1 Rage Fist with no boost, so it's effectively just a stab 50 base power move. And if he has Psychic here, he would do a lot of damage to me to a point where, like, I can't really beat the Iron Hands anymore. Because this thing is, you know, even with an Eviolite, it's not that bulky. So I actually do switch out here. I believe I go into Roaring Moon since this Roaring Moon is my check to this thing. He does make a double, which is good for him, of course. I think this is what he was going for. Understanding that in this position he probably would expect me to go Roaring Moon to click Crunch or something like that. But so here I don't really want him to fake out me, but I decide that it's like I don't think he has it. So I'm just gonna go for U-turn and get some more chip on him. And I believe I just go right back into Primate to do exactly what I just did. Let's see here. So yeah, I do go into the Primate. You see, Drain Punch does a lot. I did rebuild Primate's EV spread to be like a bit more physically bulky because even though I executed it the same way I did in the last game, I was more Spidef to take a Psychic from Armarouge. So like now I no longer take a Psychic from like, I don't know, Life Orb, variations of Armarouge, but I can take the Drain Punches and the Thunder Punches at least a little better. Although admittedly still not well. I still need to get like bulk ups off and Drain Punch it in order to sap away a lot of its health back, but it's at least handled a little better than last time. So here I'm at 100 base power Rage Fist. I can definitely go for a bulk up here. And if he goes Armarouge this time, I will be able to knock him out. And I know I'm faster because I switched out first earlier in the match. Oh no, here I could just go for this. Okay, this makes sense. I just wanted to sap a little bit of health away. Because at this point, it's like, yeah, because one, he's got Wigglytuff, and two, he's got Iron Hands. Both of those will give me a lot of health, and if he attacks me, he's just boosting Rage Fist, which is what I want here to win. Now, the awkward thing is Wigglytuff is part normal type, so it does make this interaction a little awkward, but I think that, like, he's defensive here, so I'm considering, like, setting up on this. The awkward thing is I can't like just spam Rage Fist. I can't just spam Drain Punch. Well, I can't spam Drain Punch now because Miss Magus is gone. But I guess if that thing was still around, that would be very awkward. Just having to deal with immunities to both of the moves I chose to attack with. But I'm just making sure here that I can actually live a Dazzling Gleam. I think I was checking even Modest, even though It feels pretty clear that he is not an offensive variant, or at least not, you know, max special attack biased or something like that. He might actually be, I don't know. Because I never find out, because you just go in for chilling water here, and you see it does like no damage. You also see here that I'm not defiant. maybe I should have been, just because it makes more sense, it's more optimal. I just felt like, Anger Point was not only like a fun little tech from last week, but it actually is like legitimate. If Meowscarada ever clicks Flower Trick and gets a crit on me, I can just instantly Drain Punch it all back, and then Rage just sweeps him. But it does make, but not having Defiant does make this a little awkward, just because I have to effectively attack every once in a while to get a little bit of health back, make sure I'm out of range of Dazzling Gleam or Psychic or things like that. So as long as he keeps clicking Chilling Water here, he's gonna get what he wants out of this exchange, which is keeping me as weak as possible. And then you see here, we actually get a disconnect here. I guess I'll pause here. This is basically where the battle ends, because we don't actually recreate this battle. We talk it through, and he basically admits, yeah, there's no way I ever lose this match, because he's at this point boosted my Rage Fist past 150, right? And he doesn't have his Terra anymore, so Armor drops, Iron Hand drops, and even if they don't drop, I still got like a couple more Pokemon in the back that can deal with his weakened team. So there really isn't ever a world where I lose this match without, I don't know, deliberately throwing and just infinitely switching or something like that. So rather than recreate the game, he just concedes the victory to me here, and I actually move on to not semifinals. This is actually round 1, so we would move on to quarterfinals. But yeah, it was a great game. Thank you to Rewt, of course, for 1, playing the match, and 2, for sharing the replay. And thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.